Live from the home of Al Capone, Michael Jordan, and Deep Dish Pizza. Giving it to you straight from the horse's mouth. Unfiltered and restoring hope to the podcast universe. Gary and
Angie Franchi. We got to make that very clear. Welcome to the G-Cast.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody.
Gary and Angie Franchi.
I am back. You are back.
What a week.
Yes.
What a week we have had. I'm so happy that everyone's joining us right now on this. What is this? This is the 13th. Lucky 13.
Lucky 13, baby.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about today. I don't quite know what we're going to talk about. Actually, I do. We have a big list.
We do. We got lots to talk about.
It was like, it was real crazy. We put all this stuff together last minute because there was like internet outages all over. Like lines were getting severed, I guess, on the West Coast. My producer was messaging me yesterday and showing me messages that he was getting from his internet service provider, severed fiber optic lines. And then Brian, my other producer, there was a freaking fire at the tower, and his internet went down.
All in the same day.
All in the same day. And so, like, we're just putting all the pieces of the puzzle together to get the show organized. We've got a lot to talk about, but very strange occurrences on the internet yesterday. And what else have we got here? We're going to talk about those Bakersfield doctors.
Oh, what a great video this is.
Yeah.
Great research that they have put together.
Well, they had a 51-minute press conference a couple days ago, and Gigi Bowman sent me a link to it. I'm like, oh my goodness, 51 minutes. I don't have time, you know. Like,
stopped everything.
I stopped my entire production, and I said I got to watch this because it sucked me in, the information regarding the testing that they've done, the numbers they've looked at, and basically pushing back against the official, you know, the powers that be with all the lockdown orders. And so we're going to play a clip from that today, but not about the pushback on the lockdown orders, but more the second
meat of it. It's the real numbers.
Well, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the numbers with our guest, Dr. Jennifer Mercier. She's going to be joining us a little bit later in the program to talk about Stanford and Southern California University, the two studies there. But Angie, these doctors were discussing the secondary effects of COVID that a lot of people aren't even considering.
The depression, the suicide, the number of kids who are home right now with dysfunctional parents as it is, and parents are drinking more and the kids are in the middle of that. Mm-hmm. These are long-term effects that we're going to see and they'll see for years and years to come. Well,
we're going to play the clip from these guys. So we got the Bakersfield doctors. We're going to talk about the antibody testing. Now our governors, what the heck, man? Our governor's extending this to May 30th. This is insane.
We're out here in Illinois. Governor Pritzker has extended it.
And did you like my haircut?
I wonder who gave you that haircut.
Yeah, shaving my beard, and I went a little bit like too far with the clipper. I'm like, the line between my hair and my beard started to look weird. So I'm like, I'll bring out the big clippers. And then I started shaving. I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I done? And I'm like, I just got to keep shaving it.
You just keep going. Once you're there, you're there. Yeah, you can't stop. You're like, now I have to fix this.
And then I'm like, and then I got to go on camera. I'm like, oh my goodness, I better do this right.
And you came up to me and I'm like, oh no. And I ran.
Well, like I had hair all over me. Like I come up to you like no shirt and I got all those hair clippings on my shoulders, and I'm like, honey, I need help. And you looked at me like, what the hell is wrong with you?
What am I supposed to do? But it was easy. I mean, I got back there, we got the hang of it, and I'm like, who's next?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are having to deal with that. Their hair and the products. Like when I watch the news, you can see that a lot of these people haven't had haircuts in like a month.
Oh, yes.
Like, and you see their hair getting longer. I was looking at myself in the mirror going, man, I gotta cut this.
It's crazy. You look like you dropped 10 pounds.
When I get a haircut,
I don't know how you do that.
I don't know either. It's really bizarre.
It's amazing.
So we got...
It's a magic trick.
And then my back, oh my goodness, I could barely walk on Monday. That was
You couldn't
horrible.
walk. You couldn't get out of the shower. You were,
Yeah.
or you were having difficulty getting out of the shower.
Well, that's because of the stress. When
Yes.
I went to the chiropractor.
We love, love, love our chiropractor. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Dr. Hansen, and I went to his office, and they were explaining that my back, the reason, he's seen a lot of people with this back stress because everyone's at home.
Yeah.
And because everyone's at home, they're working on their computers, so their posture's changing.
Yes.
And it's stressing out the back. So what he said was my muscles in my back got so tight that it popped one of my ribs like out of alignment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's painful. I've had that happen to myself.
It was really bad.
Oh.
So what I want to show you is you brought this up, Angie. What did you see the Donnie Wahlberg clip?
Okay, that's my thing. I like to like zone out of this for a little bit. And Donnie Wahlberg has created, him and New Kids on the Block, they created this new song. It's called House Party, and it's going viral and it's fun. I heard it for the first time and it had me dancing. I love it. And they're raising money.
Well, we're going to talk about that specifically, but there's another clip that we found on Instagram.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Of Don. See, I don't know if people know this watching, but Donnie Wahlberg is actually our neighbor. And he lives in town, and he has he lives with Jenny McCarthy and his wife, and there's a video of him we're gonna play right now.
Yeah, so it's fun to like see his Instagram account, and when you see like certain places, you recognize it.
I'm like, he's on the
I know
river.
where that is.
He's on the river.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But he's doing a great job. He's keeping people positive and motivated, and he put out this video earlier of him on the river.
Let's watch that.
Yeah.
I do hereby pledge to spend the next 3 days having the time of my freaking life.
Yeah.
This pandemic took our freedom away. Took our jobs away. That's right, ducks, I hear you. Or gooses, whatever the hell you are. It took our friends away. It took our family away. And in some instances, it took lives away. But we are not gonna let this pandemic take our love away.
No.
We are not gonna let this pandemic take our connection away or this weekend away from us, because you earned this. You deserve this, and you're gonna get this. So get your TikTok ready, your Twitter ready, your Instagram ready, your Facebook ready, your Zoom ready, your house party ready. Get all your chats ready, because we're going to spend this weekend together one way or another. It's your weekend. You earned it. You deserve it. We love you. Let's set sail. Virtually. Are you ready?
Yes!
That was awesome.
Look at that.
That was
Spread
so
that
great.
love. Spread that positivity.
You earned it.
We did. We're not going to lose our connection. We're not going to lose our love for one another.
Nope.
We're not going to let this fear set in.
Do you remember when we ran into him in
Yeah.
downtown St. Charles? Mm-hmm. Like, we were just at the Italian, we were at Zaza's having dinner, and I look out the window, I'm like, wait a minute, who is that guy? I'm like, is that Donnie Wahlberg?
Yeah.
And then we went over across the street at the baker, and we got a drink, and then we didn't see him inside, and then we were leaving, and he was outside. And man, you looked so delicious that night. Oh my goodness. You looked so good that night. And I remember walking up to him with
It was
you,
a good night to be dressed up
and
if you're bumping into
we were
Donnie
about to
Wahlberg.
yeah, really. We were about to cross the street. I'm like, honey, there he is. Let's go say hi. And you're like, no. I'm like, what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
So we walked up to him.
I didn't want to be another like person to bug him. He's like chilling, you know?
Yeah. Well, he looked you up and down. That's for sure. He's like, he went in for a hug, or were you went in for a I went to shake his hand, and then you went
And
in for
I'm
a
like,
hug.
hold on a second, Gary. Don't block the hug that's coming through right now.
Oh, yeah. No, you
It
were
was
smoking
great.
hot that night.
He was so, yes, I was. I agree. But he was super cool with us. He didn't make us feel like, oh, you're bugging on me. He was like, you know, he wanted to know who you were, who I was. And we thanked him. We thanked his wife for all the work that she's done in the past and continues to do with Operation Rescue. Those are important things to us. And just bumping into someone like that who's doing great work was really cool.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. It's wild that they're here in town, and running into them at just odd places. So, thinking about what he said there, you know, the pandemic has taken our freedoms, you know, and there's a lot of things that have been taken by this pandemic, and it's the secondary effects of the pandemic, the secondary effects of COVID-19, which is, you know, it's stuff that people need to talk about, sincerely talk about, and it's the It's frustrating because you have all these people locked up in their houses, and they're being controlled by the fear narrative that's being pushed from the authorities, being pushed by the media, and it's having very adverse effects in the health system. And Brian, if we can get that clip queued up, I'd like to play that clip of those 2 Bakersfield doctors, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that.
COVID-19 is one aspect of our health sector. What has it caused to have us be involved in social isolation? What has it caused that we are seeing the community respond to? Child molestation is increasing at a severe rate. We could go over multiple cases of children who have been molested due to angry family members who are intoxicated, who are home, who have no paycheck. These things last a lifetime. This isn't about a seasonal flu. These are things that will follow these people and affect them in a negative fashion for their life. And these are secondary effects from COVID. And these are from me talking to ERs, talking to my doctors, and talking to people across the country and finding out what they're seeing. Spousal abuse. We see people coming in here with black eyes and cuts on their face. It's an obvious abuse case. These are things that will affect them for a lifetime, not for a season. Alcoholism, anxiety, depression, suicide. I talked to Donnie Youngblood and various people in the community, and I've asked them, how are things going? Suicide is spiking. Education has dropped off. Economic collapse. Medical industry, we're all suffering because our staff isn't here and we have no volume. These are all real things that I'm seeing every day. I don't read about this stuff. I'm seeing it in my clinics. We have clinics from Fresno to San Diego, and these things are spiking in our community. These things will affect people for a lifetime, not for a season. So let's make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah.
It's sad when you think about what's happening out there in the world because the authorities have decided to shut everything down.
Their outlets are gone. I mean, Michigan, you can't buy seeds, you can't garden. The parks are closed. Where's the outlet for these kids or these parents to let off some steam?
They need to have
kids
it.
Can't see their friends. Sometimes your friend's household is your safety net. You're going over there as a child because it's too rough in your own home.
Well, what about yesterday? We had in the neighborhood, there were 2 birthdays actually in the neighborhood, and they had parades in front of the houses, people driving by and honking their horns and holding signs. It was just like the most awkward thing. It was beautiful to see everyone come out and support these kids, but at the same time, it's like, when does this end? When does it end? And then Pritzker pushes it back to May 30th. We're gonna have some more details on that in the next segment.
I had our boys collect flowers for the little girl next door who turned 10, because I felt the same way. I'm like, this is just not normal. A drive-by happy birthday. So I had them collect flowers from our yard, and I showed them. I made the bouquet with them, and I'm like, go ring the doorbell, say happy birthday. I had them keep their space because I didn't want them to feel funny about it either, But I wanted to make sure that even in these times, to show that love, to show that care without making them feel odd about it. We're living in different times, but it doesn't mean we have to cut off our emotion.
Yeah. Sadly, there are people out there that are cutting off emotion, and it's resulting in these abusive cases. And I mean, I heard a story, just today about, a husband and wife getting in a fight, and someone who's driving on the roof of a car. I mean, just like crazy things are happening right now. And
it's heartbreaking.
It's hard. It is. It's hard to listen to these stories. And that's why we have to get through this. And I think that the studies that we're going to be talking about later in the program are going to provide the necessary data to accelerate the opening of the country.
Some rays of light.
And what I don't get is this data is there. You have the data from Stanford. You have the data from the University of Southern California. You have these 2 doctors from Bakersfield who are presenting information about these stay-at-home orders and what happens when you stay at home. You don't get
You're not building up your immune system. You're so used to now cleaning everything. Is that where you're getting?
Yeah, you need to have, like, your body reacts, your immune system reacts to the viruses and bacteria all over the world, all over the ground and the hand, the doors, wherever you pick up a virus, they're everywhere. And that's how your immune system functions, by constantly being bombarded and reacting. And
getting stronger.
So if everyone's staying at home, they always talk about it here, the second wave of COVID is coming. And it's because everyone's staying at home. And the minute they let everyone out is the minute, there will be a second wave, because no one's been building up their antibodies for anything else. So it's going to have a ripple effect across the entire health system, despite that they think quarantining everyone in place when they're healthy is a good thing. And those two doctors from Bakersfield were like, wait a minute, we've quarantined sick people before. That's normal. But quarantining healthy people? That doesn't seem like anything that they've ever done.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
So shove your kids in the mud.
Well, then yesterday, like, the kids...
Make them eat that mud.
Well, remember Dr. Shiva in the interview we did, he's like, the kids are supposed to be out there getting dirty, playing in the mud.
Stop washing their hands.
Yeah, and I was on the phone with him as yesterday. We had a great conversation, and little Gary was playing in the mud. He was like literally... He got the hose out. He got buckets of water.
He tricked me. I'm like, don't you dare get another bucket of water, right? You're going to wait, right?
Oh, yeah. And then...
and then ran off.
And then I'm wearing this, like, white tracksuit, Not this one, but my other one. And I'm like, don't you come near me, kid. Like, they got their muddy feet. And I'm like, dude, just one handprint on this tracksuit's going to be horrible. But Gary was covered in mud. Arms...
Yeah.
I think he put some on his face.
Mud monster he became.
The mud monster, yeah. He looked like Wolverine. He put like some on his face, like some chops on his face.
Aww.
It was so cute. It was definitely cute. But yeah, you need to, that's what we need. We need to get our immune system built up. We need to protect ourselves. And we got to get a little dirty sometime.
Yeah, it's good for the soul.
It certainly is. So coming up in our next segment, we're going to be talking about what's happening in Illinois. We've got a couple articles we're going to review regarding what our governor is doing here. And I just hope he gets some of this data. I mean, I don't know how they can be ignoring the information that's out there. I haven't looked at anything about this this Pritzker deal. I haven't looked at it at all.
They just updated it recently in the past few hours.
I heard about it, I think, yesterday. And then I was like, what? May 30th? You got to be kidding.
Right. You can't even imagine another month.
No, I can't. I was thinking that with the data that's been presented, I keep talking about Stanford and USC, but with this information, the antibodies showing that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's been here, Angie.
High numbers, low deaths.
High numbers, low deaths. That's what those doctors kept saying. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go over to the Next News Network channel. You can check it out. There's a video there. I mean, it got 250,000 views.
You did such an excellent job at
300,000 views overnight.
This video. I was really, really happy and really impressed with this video that you put together on this.
Yeah, I really felt, sometimes I get a drive. I feel it, and like I have to put everything aside, like stop the presses moment. Like, this has got to go out.
Yeah.
And when Gigi posted that, she posted the full thing on my Facebook timeline, and I'm like, okay, what's this? I'm like, they must have tagged like 25, 30 people in that post. And I started watching it, and I messaged her. I'm like, Gigi, what's up with this? I'm like, I don't got 51 minutes. Give me the gist. And she told me, and I'm like, okay. Then I went back and watched it.
And then you made a video for someone who doesn't have 51 minutes to watch.
Yeah, I'm like,
to get the gist of it.
I'm like, if you don't have 51 minutes, you got to watch this video. Because I did it in 20.
While children are screaming outside in the background.
Oh, yeah. You can
but
hear
you can't
them.
hear them.
Well, you can hear a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can hear a little bit. It's so funny trying to record these things, and like I shoot you a look every once in a while. I'm like,
I know.
Keep it down. Keep the kids. Go hide them somewhere.
We live in fear.
Yeah. But we're going to talk more about what's happening in Illinois in the next segment with Governor Pritzker. And
getting through it all with you guys.
Getting through it all. We're going to get through this. So sit back, and we have a 2-minute break coming up. So you have enough time to run out and
get a drink, get a snack.
Pour a shot.
Get comfy.
And sit back, because we've got a little bit more news to cover, and our special guest, Dr. Jennifer Mercier.
Yes.
This is the doctor that did the antibody test on me.
The doctor's in the house.
And we're going to talk to her about the studies she's doing. Why does she want to do these studies? Why is she volunteering? This is outside of her practice. And it's a beautiful thing to see that she's stepping up. So we're going to talk to her. And I'm excited to get her feedback on Stanford,
Me too.
USC, and the studies that she's doing. Such important stuff. So sit back. You're listening to the G-Cast with Gary and Angie Franchi.
The G-Cast will be right back after this short break from our sponsors. G-Cast After Hours is back.
Welcome back to the G-Cast.
Welcome back. I'm Angie Franchi.
And I'm Gary Franchi.
And you got
And
goods
together,
there.
we are the co-hosts of the G-Cast.
Yes, we are.
That coffee does smell good, though.
Do you like that?
Say when.
Say when.
Say
Yes.
when.
That's my logo. That's my motto. Say when.
I'm your
How
huckleberry.
much do you want of this?
I want it all, baby. Franklin's Finest. This is our sponsor. It's so fun to have a sponsor. Like, hey,
And it's coffee. It
Yeah.
couldn't be any better.
Franklin's Finest coffee. It's $97 for a huge bucket. It's like a year's supply for one person. That's the awesome thing. It's a 1 year supply of coffee for $97. I think that's great.
You know I'm sold on it.
720 servings, and it's GMO.
It's
GMO free.
non-GMO.
Non-GMO. 25 years shelf life. And if you're looking for some coffee during this pandemic, and you need
Yes.
coffee is like actually a commodity you can trade. You know, talking about the food supply, the meat supply, all these different things are getting stressed to the max.
Oh, yes, they are.
I mean, they're shutting down meat factories, meat plants.
People are getting sick. Workers are getting sick there.
Well, people aren't showing up because they're afraid,
That too, yes.
and they don't want to get sick. They're because of all the fear that they've been fed from the media, and of course the false numbers that were projected initially being updated. So everyone's like they don't know what to believe, and people are terrified.
Yeah.
So they're not. So it's having this ripple effect based on faulty projections. And that's so. If you want coffee, and if there's a food supply issue, definitely you want to have coffee in your stock because you can barter with it.
That's another great thing.
You can barter with it. It's worth its weight in gold for some people.
Yes, for some people like myself.
For coffee addicts like my wife. I have
I
my own
like a good
addictions,
cup of
though.
coffee,
What?
though. I like a good cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, for this being instant coffee, I'm like a snob about coffee, right?
Oh, you're a
we know
total
this.
coffee snob.
This is no joke. I'm pretty serious about how I make my coffee.
I want a triple latte.
I don't do that.
I want a triple latte.
I hate
with
when
a
you do
soy
that.
vanilla. And can you give me 2 sugar-free pumps?
That is not me.
That's what I want.
That's you.
Please. I love this coffee.
That's why there's lines and lines of people at Starbucks.
What the heck, man? You asked for a cup of coffee. You're like, will you just take...
Don't be a slave to
and I'm like,
Starbucks.
don't be a slave
People,
to Starbucks.
come
What
on.
We drove past Starbucks.
Get some real non-GMO coffee.
But the line of cars was insane. It was absolutely ridiculous.
I think it's a way for people to. It's one thing that hasn't changed for certain people's routine. It's like, oh, I can still go get my coffee, my Starbucks. That's part of their life. I get it. That's something that they can hold on to, and it feels good. Don't get me wrong. I'll enjoy a cup of Starbucks.
So, Wake Up with GCAS is where you can take advantage and support the GCAS program at the same time, getting your survival coffee. We hope you do that while you can, right? While you can.
While the internet is up.
While the internet is still active. Now, let's talk about Pritzker. This is our state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. And putting a 30-day, extending it to May 30th. It's just ridiculous.
Nobody's happy about that.
I thought we were going to be done with this at the end of April.
I feel like that date is going to be changed again. I don't feel like that date's going to stay.
Okay, so let's take a look at Chicago business. They say he's eased up on some restrictions, permitting some forms of outdoor recreation, allowing gardening centers to reopen, and indicating retail stores could resume sales so long as customers picked up their purchases at curbside. Wow, retail stores, curbside pickup. But Pritzker tightened the rules with masks. Beginning May 1st, people will be required to wear a face covering or a mask when in a public place where they can't maintain a 6-foot social distance. Face coverings will be required in public indoor spaces such as stores, and the new requirement applies to all individuals over the age of 2 who are able to medically tolerate a face covering or a mask.
This is okay.
But I thought that isn't there a debate going on about the effectiveness of masks?
There is.
I don't really know what all the details are.
They work, they don't work.
Well, what do you believe,
And why couldn't we have kept places of business open and enforced the idea of a mask? What has changed here? Is it the false perception that we're safe if we're wearing a mask?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't understand. I get the fact of breathing and inhaling and that kind of thing.
Yes. No, I'm not questioning that. You can absolutely get sick from somebody else if they are sick and they are in your vicinity.
Yeah.
Right?
But look, I think I've said this before. Yes, we should practice hygienic behavior so that we can not infect other people, whatever that may be. Washing your hands,
staying home when you're sick.
Staying home when you're sick. If you have symptoms, take the proper steps. But why May 30th?
It's a slow process of reopening.
I don't know how that people are going to one up through May 30th. This is absolutely absurd.
It's wild. I get messages. One of my my girlfriends is like, I got to get to Target. This has got to stop.
Really?
I need to roam the aisles at Target. I get it. People are getting stir crazy. They want to get back to work. They want to get back to their life.
Well, like we talked about in the first segment, the ripple effect of this is going to have such an impact on people's mental health, but also
long-term.
the retail element of things and the food supply.
That's a whole other wave of this we haven't fully experienced or understood.
And that's where the fear comes in, because now this is the unknown territory.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to be done with this at the end of April, but the unknown territory moving into the end of May, what does that even look like? We've never seen this in our lifetime.
No.
My parents' lifetime. No one has seen this before.
It's been a nightmare. It's been an utter nightmare.
Oh my goodness.
What did I tell you the other day? I'm like, I keep seeing this phrase in my head. I'm like, trying to find beauty in a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know? This is an absolute nightmare scenario that you would wake up from and be like, oh my God, and then this happened, and this happened. We couldn't go to the stores. And then there was a food shortage and we couldn't get toilet paper. And then we had to quit school and we couldn't go to work and businesses were shut and they were boarded up. It's a nightmare scenario, right?
But you know what's not a nightmare? Waking up with you.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
No, you make it easy to get through the pandemic, honey. You really do.
I think I'm better now.
Yeah, you had a
You're
rough
being
week.
nice.
You had a rough week last week, that's for sure.
You're being nice, yeah.
But we're back to normal and everything's good. But it's watching the kids, trying to keep them in line with everything, and it's hard work.
It's hard work, and it's important to take steps to decompress and de-stress. So you can be a better person to the people around you.
Pritzker said that, make no mistake, Illinois has saved lives. By staying home and social distancing, we have kept our infection and death rates for the months of March and April thousands below the rates projected had we not implemented these mitigation strategies. But again, going back to what the doctor said, and the Bakersfield doctor, what he said, we didn't play that clip, but what he said regarding when you stay at home, you're not getting the infections. You're not. You're actually suppressing your immune system, so there could be a greater problem in the future. So when we have the authorities come out and say these things, are they really taking every single piece of information into account?
What numbers are they looking at? Well, we know what numbers they're looking at, but now we're seeing the numbers completely different than what they projected.
Right. The projected numbers were way off. Way off. And they can always come back and say, yeah, it's because our mitigation strategies were the reason. Okay. But how can you be off by millions?
Millions.
Okay? Millions. That's the reality we're facing here. So we're going to talk about those millions when we come back on the other side of the break with our friend, Dr. Jennifer Mercier. Later in the show, we're also going to be talking about 50 things that you could be doing while you're quarantining.
Fun things. I think we should add some things to the list. I've got a few things I could add.
I only have one thing that I want to do.
Smoke a brisket.
Smoke a brisket. I'm smoking that brisket.
Did I save you on that one?
You did. I was going to get
I know you, Francie. I know you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. People know.
I know.
Yeah. No, I love you, babe. Okay, so we're going to talk to Dr. Jennifer Mercier, her website, expectthemiracle.life, about her antibody testing and get into the nitty-gritty about the Stanford and USC studies and what this means for the light at the end of the tunnel.
Because there is.
There is. We got to remember that. You got it. You got it.
You're fun.
So naughty.
Nice outfit, by the way.
Thank you.
That's cute.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go to the
cameras are rolling, dude.
Cameras are rolling. Let's go to the break. We'll come back with Dr. Jennifer Mercier on the GCast.
We've gotta pay a few bills over here, so sit tight, and the GCast will return in a few moments.
it. You do it. You do it.
It's time to return to the G-Cast with your host, Gary Franchi.
That's my name.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back to the G-Cast. Thanks for sticking around through that break. I hope you got yourself a nice little beverage or a snack. I hope you're comfortable because our next guest, Dr. Jennifer Mercier, is going to enlighten us.
We're thrilled to have Dr. Jenny on the show.
Now, if you don't know Dr. Jennifer Mercier, her website is expectamiracle.life, and she holds a degree in naturopathic medicine and a PhD in natural medicine and has been in practice for nearly 20 years. She enjoys serving women in need locally and from around the world. In her practice, Expect a Miracle provides a gentle and effective hands-on specific pelvic and abdominal therapy which helps women with issues such as infertility, sexual trauma, and surgical recovery and gastrointestinal issues. She also specializes in natural hormone balancing. Dr. Jenny, welcome to the G-Cast.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here with you and go over a couple of things.
We are too. Thank you for being here.
It
My
is great.
pleasure.
It's great to have you. And what was really cool is now we know Dr. Jenny. She's a close friend, and I wouldn't go anywhere to get a test. I wouldn't go anywhere to get an antibody test. But when I found out that she had them, I wanted to make sure. And what's funny, Jenny, is, we did that video. I went to your office. We did the test, and people were freaking out in the comments, like, "Oh man, you're just gonna give in to the CDC, and now Bill Gates has your DNA." I'm like, wait a minute, guys. I'm like, that's not the case. So we had to clarify it in the comments several times that no, it was a totally anonymous, and you destroy the sample, and end of story. And we found out that my antibody test was negative.
Yeah.
So before we go into all these studies, why? Because I just read your intro, and this is not really in your wheelhouse, but you decided you're going to take the step, and you're going to start providing these tests in your practice locally. What inspired that?
Yeah, I think people deserve to know their status, if they're immune or if they're currently in disease process, if they've been exposed. They deserve to know, and they deserve to have easy access to the testing, and it's super affordable and quick too. I mean, literally the test being offered locally is anywhere from $100 to $150, and your immune status, whether you're not immune or not immune, or you've been exposed and non-symptomatic, you'll know your status in 10 minutes. And so there's nothing more convenient than that. It's just a little finger stick. And it's really simple, and it's not something where we're putting a swab down your nose into your throat to test for COVID. It's just merely an easy screen. It's the SARS-CoV COVID-19 screening, and it's super affordable. So why not do it? Why not offer it?
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you're doing that. And so do you have any numbers of how many people that you've tested? And how many people have come back positive? I know when I spoke to you last, you had actually found 2 positive people for antibodies, and one I believe was asymptomatic, and the other one actually had some pretty severe symptoms. Do you have any updates on that front?
Yeah. So I've done 30 tests so far, and only still those 2 were positive. One never remembered being sick at all, although she has IgG antibodies. And the other one is a very healthy man who in February got very, very sick, and all of the classic symptoms, 104 fever for 7 days persistently, loss of taste, loss of smell, bilateral leg pain, that dry cough, and a wretched headache. And so he really earned his antibodies. He earned his immune status for sure. But thus far, just the 2 out of 30, and everyone else has been non-immune. Now, on Tuesday, I am going to the Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry, and I'm going to be screening the volunteers and employees, and I've got 25 more tests. So we'll see what that produces. And then ongoing, I have tests available that I'm doing in my office. And so all in all, I'll have done 75 tests and we'll see what the end produces.
That's really wonderful. So you're going to the food pantry, and who are you going to be
I
screening?
am. Yeah, I'm going to be screening the volunteers and the employees.
Incredible. And they've just recently, I caught up with the pantry. We had Kat Batista, the executive director, on the show not too long ago. They served, I believe, 8,000 people. They went from serving, I think, 500 a week normally,
Really?
then to 4,000, and now they're at 8,000.
It's incredible.
Wow. That's incredible
Yeah.
that you're going there and providing that for them as well right now.
Well,
Absolutely.
the new unemployment numbers are terrifying. At 26 million people, I believe, now out of work.
Yeah.
And with another 30 days of this, who knows what's going to happen next, really. But
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
You were gonna
I
say-
was speculating this morning that, if we do this much longer, there's going to be some real trouble, I think. And I hate to speculate that way, but I mean, I myself, I was at work yesterday just seeing a few patients, and I had a 30-minute break to go get a cup of coffee. And I came back to my office and parked, and a car went speeding by the front of my office with a woman on the hood of the car. And it was a domestic dispute. I went over and I talked to them, but these people were so distraught, and it was really sad to see that they couldn't even be consoled. There was no talking to them. So, I mean, we're seeing it out in the open now. It's very, very sad. And just as you had touched on prior, Gary, and Angie, about the children stuck at home with their abusers and no respite from a school scenario, or, people engaging in alcoholism, if they had not prior, or and just the scenarios that are occurring at this point with people's mental health. It's not a good thing.
No.
It's definitely not a good thing. And this implementing of mandatory mask wearing is really not scientific, and neither is social distancing. And you can harp on me all you like about those two things, but I can cite those for you. I can cite those studies that have been done to show that neither of those are scientific in keeping the disease away. Neither of them.
So why, if that's the case, why would they go ahead and implement those studies or those procedures?
I think it's just for lack of knowing any better. Honestly, I see a lot of fear in our governmental officials, and I don't think anybody knows what to do. So I think that's probably the easiest thing to implement, really without great substance behind it.
It's just a way of them showing, okay, you can do this, but we're not certain if it's going to work. But if it makes you feel better, go ahead and do that. But why enforce it?
Right. You're being forced to wear a mask, which it could be construed as an item of clothing, and you're being forced to wear it, and without good scientific evidence behind that. I mean, the COVID-19 droplets are much smaller than these makeshift masks that people are wearing. And not to forget that people are wearing masks over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then men with facial hair. And I mean, this virus sticks to clothing and hair. And so just to cherry pick and wear a mask or wear gloves and then touch your face because we're human beings, it's just not a good solution to a longer term problem. And I mean, COVID-19 very much mimics the flu, maybe with a little more of a punch. And it is much more contagious than the flu, but I don't know. I'm all about herd immunity. I'm all about, non-manufactured immunity and being actually exposed. And 85% of the people that are exposed do manufacture antibodies because their immune system is working well. And so I think that's far better. And I understand the theory of flattening the curve to not overwhelm the medical systems, but medical providers don't train to sit idle. They train to go in and do a job and take care of us. And, if we need medical attention. So I just, I'm not an expert here, guys. So please don't, please don't come down on me. I am admitting that there are professionals that are far more experienced and than I am. But I'm certainly willing to be a helper during this time and do the antibody screenings because I think it's important and it's simple. So why not do it?
It is important.
There's some really good news. I got a message last night from a friend on Facebook, and he said that they're taking the tents down. Remember those tents? I drove around the hospitals.
Yes.
And I took some video of these tents, these COVID-19 testing tents. They're taking them down, which is a good sign, which means like we're almost through this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really hanging my hat on these antibody studies because I find that to be like, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. And let's talk about these things here because there's the University of Southern California, okay, and then you also have Stanford. And they write here, this is from livescience.com, more people may have gotten coronavirus than we are detecting. And that's the takeaway from a small study of coronavirus antibodies in more than 3,000 people in Santa Clara County, California. The results suggested that between 2.5 and 4.2% of people in the county have contracted COVID-19, which is 50 to 85 times greater than the number of cases being reported at the time.
That's huge. 50 to 85%
And
greater.
again, what does that do to the death rate, right? So you had a chance to take a look at some of these studies, Jenny, and what was your initial reaction to this news?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both really good studies. They're solid, they're robust. There's good control groups. However, I think that we are looking at more affluent population and more Caucasian population with both studies. So I think if we can get a more diverse control group and start to study them and just do the antibody screenings like I'm doing, we could have much better numbers to report, more accurate numbers to report, certainly. That's all we really want is the truth and the accuracy. And hopefully, from my little corner of the world, I can provide something that might suggest, well, yeah, hey, I mean, these people have been exposed, but they've not been symptomatic, but now they possess the IgG antibodies, which is wonderful. So I think the studies are good. I think we definitely need to keep rolling on those and testing everybody. Why not test everybody? I think it's super important to do so.
Well, I think we should be testing. I don't think it should be mandatory. I think people, if they should volunteer to that, of course.
Absolutely.
Now, what was the numbers that you got initially with your testing? You did so many tests and you found 2. How many what was the big number was?
Yeah, out of 30. So 30, certainly not a giant control group, but something substantial. 30 tests, 2 positive IgG antibodies.
So what I'm seeing here in this initial Stanford result, they say that 1 in every 66 tested positive for antibodies. Now,
Okay.
of course, when you have some more numbers, I would like to see if some of those ratios stay the same, because that's really seems to be the case that we're seeing. Like those doctors from Bakersfield, they cited like when you go across the entire world, all the numbers seem to jive about the percentages. And again, we take a look at the Los Angeles coronavirus. Let's see, Reuters. This is University of Southern California. Okay, so this study, some 4.1% of adults tested positive for coronavirus antibodies of Los Angeles County residents. Now, this is from the health officials there, so this is not.
This is official.
This is an official study. They write that the serology tests conducted by University of Southern California researchers on 863 people indicate the death rate from the pandemic could be lower than previously thought, but also that the respiratory illness may be being spread more widely by people who show no symptoms. So I think that with these types of numbers, again, Jenny, we look at the numbers and then we see Pritzker locking down our state for another 30 plus days.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Again, it's not scientific because if we are carrying the antibodies, yet we're asymptomatic, that's how you create true herd immunity. And now they're wanting to make a vaccine, which is manufactured immunity. And truly to make a vaccine and test it appropriately, it's going to take 4 to 5 years. If we fast track a SARS-CoV-2 vaccine through the FDA and then start utilizing it on human beings, let's put it this way. anything that's ever been fast tracked, whether it be a drug or a medical device or a vaccine, anytime we fast track it and then we start utilizing it on human beings, it's always been disastrous. There's nothing good about fast tracking. Nothing at all.
I believe I read
I think
go ahead.
and there's my son, because I'm at home and they're at home with me. So
We're all in this together.
we are.
We're
Yes,
all
Seth,
in
you
this
can.
together.
Go
We
ahead.
get that.
Hi, Seth.
Wonderful.
That was adorable.
He wanted to ask me for cake. We made a nice healthy chocolate cake before I got on with you guys, and he's just dying to cut into it. So it's
Sounds
okay.
delicious.
Yeah.
What we I forgot we were saying about
We were talking about
Yes.
immunity and testing. And again, I agree with you guys about not mandating the testing, but certainly offering the tests for people that want to know their status.
Seth's back.
And also, hi, Seth, what?
Can you come downstairs and get
In
me
a moment. In a moment.
Aw.
Okay.
All right. That's so adorable.
Okay.
This is going to be great for him to watch one day. Mommy
It will.
working from home and homeschooling. This is all part of the archive.
Yeah, this is real life, folks. This is what it's
This
like.
is real life.
Everyone's dealing with this stuff, you know. And we've
Amen.
got families and kids, and it's not easy, but we're making it work.
We're doing it. I tested both of my kids. My daughter is 8. My son, who you just saw, is 5. And I tested both of them as well, so they're part of my control group, and they both tested as non-immune, even though they were in school in February. I think when this really started to kind of infiltrate our population,
I think so.
they are both negative. So that's a good thing. I also tested my parents. My dad is 72. He's had 2 heart transplants.
Oh my.
And he still goes to work stocking plumbing supplies at Menards every morning. He's not going to stop working, and he's not going to wear a mask. You just cannot tell him. So he's just not going to abide by that. And frankly, I don't feel like I'm going to wear a mask either. I don't think it's necessary.
Well, I don't know how they're going to enforce it. What are they going to do if you're not wearing a mask? Are they going to call the police? Are they going to?
Right.
Is they going to call in the the mask enforcement squad? And I mean, this is really
Right.
kind of uncharted territory to have this kind of a public mandate by our governor. So we're going to wait and see. We'll find out soon enough. What's going to happen.
Right. Right.
And there was a point that I wanted to make with respect to these you brought up the vaccine and the fast tracking, but what about? They said I read somewhere that they were going to do. What was it? No, it was Bill Gates that said this. That if they mandate a vaccine, they have to hold the government. What is it? Indemnify the governments. And who else? I think it was Dr. Shiva that told me this. That they're working on this bill for this vaccine, and they're literally going to be. No, it was Dr. Sherry Tenpenny's executive director.
Okay. Dr. Sherry
Sherry's
Tenpenny.
amazing. She's
Yeah.
amazing. Mm-hmm.
Her assistant, I think it was, that contacted me, and she said that they're working on this bill that's going to exempt, because they're fast tracking, that they're going to exempt the big pharma companies from the vaccine injury compensation fund. So you can't even,
Oh, no.
so you can't even sue to
Oh,
go
no.
to the vaccine injury court
Right.
for the COVID vaccine.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's disastrous. I mean, this
Oh,
is how I
no.
explain it to people. I say, listen, if you're going to go and buy, just let's say a Subaru, you go and you buy a Subaru, and then 2 days later, the car breaks, or there's something really wrong mechanically with the car, and you bring it back to the dealer. They say, no, it's your car now. We're not doing anything for you. And you have to drive this car that might be mechanically unsound or unsafe, or it's a lemon. But Subaru has washed its hands. Like, you cannot do anything
Yeah.
at all about this car that isn't running anymore. It's the same as the vaccines. The manufacturers of vaccines are immune from being sued or being held accountable for a vaccine injury. And that's where the vaccine injury courts come in. But now you're saying that you read, or Dr. Tenpenny was mentioning that you can't even go to the vaccine injury courts with this one. I've not read that, but I mean, if that's the case, then I think I'd be very cautious on moving forward to take that vaccine.
Yeah.
There's nobody to be accountable if you're injured.
Yeah.
That's
How
so
can that
scary.
be how can that be good?
No.
Yeah, it's dangerous territory we're heading into. We got to be
'Cause
positive, though.
Guillain, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to talk over you, Gary. Guillain-Barré syndrome is very real. It's a real side effect for people that take the flu vaccine every year. So if you can imagine that SARS-CoV-2 is very similar to influenza, we might be producing the same results after receiving the vaccine for people that, are receiving the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine too, the Guillain-Barré syndrome. And some people never recover from that. So I don't know how I would feel about, lining up to take that. And certainly that would be up to you and making your own decision on what feels best to you. And, you do your research, but certainly anything new that would come through the FDA super, super fast is, I don't feel real confident in that.
Right.
I agree with that. Absolutely. I would not feel confident with that as well.
I've said this before. No matter if you are pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine, you will be faced with a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you and I hope that you choose and with the right information. And I just hope they don't make this some sort of a mandatory thing. And that's where I think it's going to get. If they do that and make it mandatory, like Bill Gates said, he's going to have a digital certificate for people who have the vaccine, so you can maybe get on a plane, go into public, go shopping, get your groceries. And you have to prove that you have this vaccine. I mean, that's terrifying to consider, that reality. But that is out there. Oh,
absolutely. I don't think anything's off limits these days. I think that this was just opening up Pandora's box as to something bigger underlying, and I'm not sure what that is. And I'm certainly not trying to create a conspiracy theory here, but I do think that there's something bigger involved, and hopefully the light is shining big and bright on that, whatever it is underneath, so that we can see it really soon. Otherwise, it just feels a little bit on the shady side. I'm certainly not downplaying the path of this virus and its wake. I'm not. I know that people are sick and people are on ventilators and, they're not doing well and people have died. But we also have to look at how multifaceted it is. It's not just one virus causing a bunch of deaths and causing problems for our society. It's much deeper than that. Don't you guys think?
I agree. This is on a human level. We are all seeing to what extent, what information are we accepting? What are we filtering? Where do we draw our line of wait a minute here. Let's use logic on this.
And
Let's
you can
think
leave the
about
conspiracy
this.
theories to me.
Yeah, I'll leave it over there
Leave
to
the
you.
conspiracy theories to me. Apparently, I'm a big conspiracy theorist.
Aw. But
that's a good.
I mean, these are real concerns. I can't imagine anyone, whether you're pro vaccine or anti-vaccine, you have to question, is this going to hurt me? Is this going to help me? And if I can't hold anyone accountable for getting hurt, then do you have a problem with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're going to jump to our next segment in a moment. No worries.
Oh,
no worries.
no.
This is real life.
yeah.
This is real life. I
great.
keep getting flashbacks to remember there was a newscaster and I think it was on the British news.
Oh yes.
And he was doing the news and the kid comes walking in
and the wife frantically takes he's in one of those little scooters, a little tray with they can walk, real quick.
Yeah.
And the wife's
we can't help it sometimes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
Great.
beautiful.
It's wonderful. Beautiful. You are a fantastic doctor and you are an amazing mother. And your children are lovely.
Thank you guys. I love you guys. Thanks for having me on, for adding my 2 cents in, and I'm happy to do it. And I just love people so much. I just want to see them healthy and get what they need and not feel pressured to do something that doesn't feel right.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've been wanting to have you on for quite some time, and I'm glad we finally did. Your website is expectamiracle.life. If you want to learn more about Dr. Jennifer Mercier and you want to learn about her practice, I encourage you to go there, and we will have a link to that in the description. Jenny, thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank
Jenny.
you so much, guys. You have a nice evening.
You too. It's good to see you.
Too. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to come back on the other side of this break. We're going to talk about 50 things to do in quarantine. And what else we got? The house party thing.
Oh, yeah.
House party. The new kids on the block have a coronavirus house party. Is that legal? Can you do that?
Can you do that? Can we get invited?
I think it's virtual, though.
It is virtual.
They
did a great job.
Everyone's going to be on Zoom or something for this virtual house party?
Yeah.
But this is a song, right? This is a song they wrote?
It's a song, yeah.
Okay. Here's a little song I wrote.
There's some lyrics in there. I'm going to make you sing it.
Gonna sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy.
Be happy now.
We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. Gary Franchi will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to the G-Cast.
All right, we are back on the G-Cast. Thanks for sticking through that break. That was an interesting segment with Dr. Jenny.
We covered a lot of good things about the antibody tests and
Yeah.
what's it all mean?
Well, everyone's trying to make sense of this thing.
We're all trying to get some peace of mind.
Peace of mind and trying to just not go crazy.
Let's go crazy. A little bit nuts. Oh, Prince.
50 things that Brian, you can mute yourself there. 50 things here. Where's my notes? I got all these notes. 50 things. 50 things to do in quarantine.
I stole your notes. Oh, you got it too.
50 things to do in quarantine. You found this story. You wanted to talk about it.
This is funny. I mean, to who is this fun for? What are these fun things, right? What do you like to do in quarantine?
Smoke a brisket. I'm going to be doing that this weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
My stomach just... Did you hear that? I was so hungry. talking
Well,
about brisket.
a friend on Facebook messaged me. He made burnt ends, so I'm gonna try and do the burnt ends this week. So I guess you take the point of the brisket, you cut it in half, you cut off the point, and then you cube it.
Do it.
And then this is after you've already smoked it for 12 hours. And then you go back and you take the cubed brisket and you put another rub on it. You rub it down real good. And then you put some beef stock like in a tray, and you throw it back in the smoker for like 3 hours.
That sounds delicious.
It's like a double smoked burnt ends. And it's already really good meat when you smoke it.
All right, everyone, you should know that this man nails it every time. Like, your brisket is so damn good.
I love it. I love making brisket because it's actually it took me a long time to figure out how to do it because I was so worried about the time and the temperature and stuff, and then I called up the guys at Reams and he sort of set me straight.
He's like, listen.
Yeah, he tells me, he says, listen, all you got to do, he's like, just take this whole untrimmed Packer brisket and just throw it in the smoker, let it sit there for 12 hours, do it overnight, don't worry about when it hits the stall, because that's my thing. When the brisket hits the stall, I was like, oh my goodness, it's stuck at 165, it's not going anywhere for hours on end, and I'm sitting there staring at the thermometer going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? It's like torture. And he said, don't even look at the thermometer. Wait until the morning. You know, when you don't like.
It was like the best thing you've ever been told on how to cook that brisket.
Because I have a Bluetooth thermometer, so I put the smoker in, I put the brisket in overnight, I put that thermometer in, and when I wake up in the morning, it's done. Like, no, what do you say? No fuss, no muss?
Yeah, it is. You wake up and there's oh my God, it smells so good.
Oh, it's the best thing. Waking up in the morning and smelling that brisket.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So this is going to be a new brisket. This is from Snake River Farms. Sometimes I get my briskets from Reams or Costco, Crowd Cow, but this is the first time I've ordered Snake River. So I'm really excited for that.
It's huge. That is one
17 pounder.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's what you like to do in quarantine. All right. Mm-hmm. I recently got off of Facebook. I deactivated my account. That's one thing I enjoy doing in quarantine.
Deactivating accounts?
I'll deactivate you later.
Yeah.
But taking a break from it. I mean, you know, I didn't have the will to, you know, I've uninstalled the app many times, but I just kept putting it back on my phone. So I'm like, well, let me just deactivate for a little bit. And it is freedom. I feel like I feel so light. You just need to take a break from that. So finding some peace and quiet, you know, during quarantine, that's my top. Getting active, staying somewhat active, walks, physical activity. What kind of physical activity do you like?
Really?
I tried so hard not to laugh. I tried. I cannot get you for a walk for nothing, though. This guy, he doesn't walk. But you get other physical activity.
What? Now you're making me blush. Yeah, you're making me blush, girl.
Yep. What? You play outside with the kids. Jeez.
Playing outside with the kids, yeah. Okay.
What you thinking about?
I don't know where your mind's going, you dirty thing.
All right. Sorry. Back to the list. Okay.
Stargazing events?
Yes. So that was one. Where is that? See, one of the sky's most famous constellations to early May.
Oh, man. Is my face turning red over here? You said you were going to get me this week. Is that what you were going to do? Or is there something else I'm waiting for?
That's next week.
Oh.
I had to switch gears.
Oh.
So that's my goal, everyone. Every week I'm trying to, like, you know.
Oh, no.
Get you.
You're going to prank me on the show? Wonderful. Wonderful.
I'll be playful. Nothing scary.
All right. Gather your friends for another news. Gather your friends for a virtual game night.
That's fun.
I mean, the only thing we've done virtually, like with my brothers or friends, is just like drinking on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like everyone goes on Zoom.
Let's be honest.
Everyone's just sitting there drinking and like cheersing with the webcam.
You do. No one has to worry about interrupting the other person from talking because you're just like, hey.
And it's just like, it just gets crazy. You know, because everyone's like just locked down, and you see everyone's beards getting longer, and like
hair's getting longer.
Hair's getting longer.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Zoom drinking parties. That's
It's
like
a
the
good
big deal right
time.
now. What else? Okay, you got some more lists there?
Let's see. Tune into your YouTube's best cooking channels. That's fun. I like watching different YouTube tutorials of different meals and entrees and just more of like the healthy stuff. I'll watch Dana.
Oh, is she doing
Instagram.
videos on YouTube now?
Not on YouTube. She does it on Instagram.
Okay.
So that's one thing I would change on this list. Like, okay, YouTube is great, but there's also, you guys are on social media. Look outside of what you normally do. Take a break from it all. Trust me. You're gonna be so happy that you did. Yeah.
Okay. Select masterclass courses for free. What is that?
So this is very cool. Have you ever done this before?
Well, you got me that for I think my birthday or Father's Day.
I did.
And it was a brisket smoking masterclass.
Yeah, you don't need it now.
I have yet to take it because I am the master.
Yeah, so
Not
you could
really,
do
I'm
that.
not-
They
I'm not
offer
the
that.
master.
This list is compiled by Thrillist.com. So if you want to see the full list, go to Thrillist.com. 50 fun things you can do at home right now in quarantine. Restocking your bar. That's important.
Restocking your bar. That's funny. I was just getting a text message exchange with my brothers, and they were talking about like how much vodka people are going through during this
A
quarantine.
little much.
Yeah,
What else is on here that
I'm
you
a
like?
Kettle One guy, or I'll do Tito's. Those are my drinks, especially with the keto diet that I'm on. Vodka soda, that's my thing.
That's your thing.
Yeah, that's easy.
Check out new documentaries.
You know, Jenny, our last guest, she's got her own documentary.
She
I should have
does.
asked her about it. I didn't ask her. Well, you can find out by going to her website.
I'll give you the name of it in just a second. It's on the tip of my tongue. I got to think about it. Let's see. TikTok. Would you ever do it?
I don't even know what is it. What is it?
It's an app.
I've seen it, but I see people dancing.
Yeah.
And
So
how
you
does it
learn
work?
different moves and you can.
How does it teach you to dance?
Okay, it's going to happen.
Oh.
Weird things are going to happen in quarantine, Bill.
I don't want to do that. I really don't.
But the point is, this stuff is heavy. And we do it 24/7. And if you and I could take a break, then everyone else can take a break too. You would deserve it. You've earned it. Laugh.
Well, speaking of taking a break, what is this about the New Kids on the Block and their thing with the house party? What is that?
They came up with a clever way to raise money. So the New Kids on the Block, there's a new song out, House Party. Let me see here. To raise money for COVID-19 relief efforts, boy band New Kids on the Block has teamed with Boys to Men, Jordan
Boyz II
Sparks. I love that. Big Frida and Naughty by Nature to release the benefit single House Party, a dance anthem intended to get fans grooving while locked down indoors.
It's like the 90s reunion.
It was awesome, though.
Yeah, like Boys to Men, New Kids, Naughty by Nature, like all those. It's like straight up 90s. Mm-hmm. That's so fun to hear all those names again.
All net proceeds from the quarantine anthem, written and produced by Donnie Wahlberg and DK Music, entirely over FaceTime and other digital apps, will go to the No Kid Hungry, a campaign aiding pandemic relief efforts initiated by the Share Our Strength organization. And this is a quote by Donnie. I was inspired. People need to be entertained, to feel light, to be happy. Donnie said of the song in a press release, if we can do even the smallest thing to lift someone's day, we will do that. And in doing so, we will also donate all proceeds to benefit No Kid Hungry. All we want to do is give back in the best way we know. Very cool, man.
That is very cool. So we're going to wrap
Inspire.
up this show. We're going to come back next week. And as always, we like to leave you with something a little bit funny to make you laugh. And I did already see this, so it's not going to be a shock to me. But maybe you guys have seen this too, but I think it's funny.
It's a little something we're all experiencing and making light of it.
Yeah.
Enjoy, guys.
So have a great weekend. And remember, stay gold.
Stay gold.
Plastic. Schools are closed, so you need to homeschool your children unless you can send them to school because you are not home. If you are at home, you can school your children using various portals and online classrooms unless you have poor internet, more than one child, only one computer, or you are working from home. Baking cakes can be considered math, science, or art. If you are home educating, you can include household chores within their education curriculum. And if you are home educating, you may start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. every day. If you are not home educating children, you may also start drinking at approximately 10 a.m.
That's all we've got for you right now. Gary's gotta run. We thank you for tuning into our podcast. If you're hungry for more, head on over to Gary's Next News Network YouTube channel for the latest news and commentary on current events. Until next time, stay gold.